Hello. Today is a nice day. It's sunny and bright, warm and hot, and there's light spilling in through all the windows. I can see things dancing in it. Little things. So tiny I can't see what they are. But there are lots of them, and you can only see them in the light. Andale laughed as I tried to catch some. I just ended up sneezing and falling over on my back. Andale looks funny upside down. She told me that I was silly, and that the little things that danced between the sunbeams weren't alive or magic. It was just dust. I asked her what dust was, and she paused for a moment, and said she didn't really know. She said she guessed that it was how you knew something was old. She said that maybe dust was how things that weren't alive showed their age, like how when people got older, they got wrinkles on their faces. I asked her if that meant that if Miss Lafayette was a thing, that she would be covered in dust. Her expression turned funny, and she started laughing again. I liked that. The house is empty again today besides us, and Andale's brother, but I don't think she wanted to talk about him much. Her parents were in town working as usual. It seems like a bit of a shame to have to work on such a nice day, but Andale told me that when you're a grown-up, you have to work, no matter how nice of a day it might be. Her smile faded. I didn't like that so much. I suggested we do something fun, like drawing again, but Andale said she didn't feel much like drawing. She looked out the window, and for a moment we could see birds flying in the trees outside. They were blue and black and white and beautiful. Andale said they were bluebirds. That didn't seem like a very creative name, but that didn't make them any less pretty. There was a nest in the tree. Inside were 2 baby birds. They made a lot of noise. The bluebirds came and nestled into the branches and twigs that made up their home, and the noise stopped. The little birds were quiet as they returned, waiting to be fed. It was an interesting sight to see, the bluebirds feeding their babies. I was still upside down, but it looked nice anyway. Andale looked away and stood up, walking deeper into the house. I could feel her heart, and it didn't feel as happy as it had a moment ago. I rolled over and followed her. The house looked strange in the light. There wasn't a cloud in the sky, and the sun streamed through every place it could, the dust in the air floating in and out of places we could see. It made me wonder how old the house was. If Andale was right and dust was how things age, then it must have been very old. I asked Andale if she wanted to go to the kitchen or play a game, but she said no. I felt a little fuzzy. I don't think she was listening to me much. My ears fold a bit when she gets like this. I think she knows how much I want to help her. At least, I hope she does. I really do. But at times, it's hard to see the good things, I think. I thought of the man who smelled of smoke, and how he warned me about the rain in Andale's dream. I don't think she needs to be dreaming for it to rain. And though it was a beautiful day outside, I felt the clouds in her heart. As we walked, I tried to think of something to chase them away. I noticed a cord hanging from the ceiling. I paused and asked Andale what it was. She noticed me then, and I felt less fuzzy. Andale likes it when she knows the answer to things. She's smart, so she knows lots of them. She told me that the string led to the attic. It's where all the stuff her parents didn't know what to do with went. She said a lot of stuff from when they'd moved had gone up there, but her parents hadn't had the time to place it around the house. I asked if we could see it. I know there are parts of the house I haven't seen yet. Her parents' room was one, and her brother's room was another. But nobody lived in the attic. At least, I hoped not. So it seemed like it would be okay to look inside that one. Andale thought for a moment, then nodded. The cord was too high for Andale to reach on her own, so we had to get a chair from the kitchen. Andale's strong. She got it all by herself. I pushed it with my head, but I can't touch things. Still, sometimes I like to pretend. It took a few times, but Andale eventually pulled the cord hard enough, and a little door opened in the ceiling. From it, a large set of stairs slid out. I've never seen a door make stairs before, but I was glad this one did. I didn't like the idea of trying to get up there without them. I followed Andale up the stairs, and we entered the attic. The room must have been the oldest part of the house, because there was dust everywhere. There was a big circular window that I remembered seeing from the outside of the house. It let sunlight flow in like water from a sink, washing over all the old dust-covered things. The little specks danced in the attic like nowhere else in the house. Clouds of it floated up after every one of Andale's footsteps. There were boxes upon boxes stacked everywhere, things stuck out at odd angles. Some of it I recognized, some of it I didn't. Andale and I walked deeper inside. The room wasn't very big, but neither were we, so it didn't matter. In the corner, there was a big thing, like a box on legs with a big horn at the top. Andale noticed me staring at it. She said it was her father's record player. Next to it was a box of squares with pictures of people on them. Andale walked over and picked one up. She said that her father had brought them over from a place called America. He was from there. She said it was very far away, and he missed it sometimes, so he brought things to remind him of home. The squares weren't squares. That was just what they were kept in. They were actually circles. Black, shiny circles with little labels in the middle. Andale said they were called records, and they made music. So I asked if we could listen. She thought for a moment, then said yes, but that we'd have to be very careful. Being as gentle as she could be, she put the black circle on the top of the machine. There was a little needle on the side. She placed it on top and pressed a button I couldn't see. The words were tinny and scratchy, but they sounded nice. The man on the record spoke in a funny voice. Andale told me that he was American too, and that's what Americans sounded like. She said that I sounded that way too. I didn't know that, but I guess I've never thought much about my own voice before. Andale gave me this voice, so of course I love it, but I suppose I've never put much thought into what I sound like. Andale frowned and said she wished she sounded like her father sometimes. She said that American girls were popular and that they lived in a place called Broadway and sang songs all day. I said I liked her voice the way it was. Andale has a lovely voice, but I can tell that she didn't think so. I didn't want Andale to frown, so I started to dance a little, wagging my tail in time with the music and moving my paws back and forth. I've never danced before, but it's fun. Andale giggled, her frown disappearing. She watched me for a moment before she decided to join in. We danced in the attic together. We kicked up a lot of dust. The little specks floated around us in that great sunbeam as it streamed through that round window. I'm glad sunbeams aren't really made of orange juice, or it would have been a mess. We laughed and danced until the song ended. It was a funny song, with lots of words that weren't words. I liked those the best. We shook like leaves in the wind whenever the man on the record said those. Andale was tired once we were done, but she was happy. She very carefully took the record off the machine and put it back in its case. We rested for a moment, catching our breath in the warm sun, before Andale decided to look through one of the boxes with me. It was full of all kinds of things. There was old fabric that belonged to her mother, and lots of little things that belonged to her father. A little city in a bubble of glass that snowed when you shook it. The words New York on the base, a little thing called a train, and lots of little papers with little pictures on them. Andale said they were postcards. Her father had been lots of places. Under all the stuff was a photograph. It looked old. There were 5 people in it, 3 adults, one of them laughing, and an older boy who held hands with a tiny little girl with curly hair. Andale! She chuckled at my surprise and nodded. She said that was her when she was little, and they lived at their old house. She got quiet again after that. She stared at the picture for a long time. Her brother didn't look anything like he did now. He smiled a warm, nice smile. He looked at Andale fondly. He didn't seem tired or heavy. He seemed light and vibrant, as though he might jump out of the picture at any moment. Her feelings got complicated again. Cold and wet, hot and sharp. Not as bad as before, but still there. As she stared at it, I looked at what else was in the box. There were some brown, round things made of metal on the end of colorful lengths of fabric. One of them was gold, but it looked like it hadn't been taken care of very well. Besides that, there was a box. It seemed to be the dustiest thing of all. There were little stars painted on the sides in a night sky of swirling greens and blues. On the side was a little yellow key. I nosed at it, and Andale looked up from the picture. She blinked a few times, and I felt something fuzzy inside her heart, like something so covered in dust you couldn't tell what it was anymore. She picked it up as though it might fade away if she touched it too hard, and slowly turned the key on the side. I could feel the fuzzy thing give a little jump, shaking the dust loose. Andale's face broke into a gentle smile as she found a memory long forgotten. The box opened, and inside lay a little baby's cradle. A star slowly spun around it on a track, making little clicking noises as it did. I could feel what Andale felt. The song the music box played made her feel warm and safe. There was a bit of that complicated cold feeling around the edges of it, but the warmth was there too. And it was brighter than any of the cold dark that tried to find its way inside. This was a good memory, even if it was a little sad at being lost for so long. I could feel the softness of a warm blanket, milk heated over a fire, and a story read by a calming voice. The voice was fuzzier than the other things, but it was still there, and it still mattered. I laid down and rested my head in her lap as we sat there and listened. Her hand came up and she slowly stroked my ears. I think I might have drifted off, but I'm not sure. I don't know if I have dreams. I think Andale is the one that dreams for me. But while I lay there, I could see, for a moment, through eyes that weren't my own. I saw a kindly woman's face reaching down to lift me up. It was too fuzzy to make out, but she held me close and told me that things would be all right, that no matter what happened in the days ahead, that I would have love and family and a place where I was welcome. Whether or not it was a dream, I liked it. The music ended, and we sat there in silence for a moment. Some dust settled in Andale's hair, but I don't think she cared. After a few moments, we got up and put everything back where we'd found it, except for the music box. Andale cradled it close under her arm, and we walked back down those stairs from the ceiling. She put it under her bed, like a secret, but a good secret, the kind you keep for when things get dark and you might need a little light. She takes it out every now and again. Sometimes the feelings are light and warm and happy. Other times, they get a bit cold. But I think they're still good. I don't think dust shows things ages anymore. I think it shows that they're lonely. Everybody gets lonely sometimes, but just like anything else, you can pick them up and blow the dust off. And when you're feeling lonely, they can help you, if only a little. I think that's a nice thought, and I hope Andale remembers it for a long time.
Hello, this is Jack Thatcher, standing in for Tenkage. This has been a production of Universe in the Box. Stray Ami is written by S. Anon and LRBJ. Blanc is voiced by R. Andom. The song Crazy Words, Crazy Tune was written by Jack Yellen and Milton Ager, and performed by Johnny Marvin, used under public domain and the Fair Use Doctrine. All other music composed by Trevor Hamer, the first soundtrack to Stray Me, is now available at trevorhamer.bandcamp.com. If you'd like to ask a question or contribute your talents to the show, contact us at universeinthebox@gmail.com and check out our website at universeinthebox.com. And if you'd like to help the show grow, please consider leaving a review on whatever platform you use to listen. Things are only as real as you make them, so help us continue to be as real as possible. Special thanks to Joey Wagoner, Cole Roberts, Alex Hotchwald, and me. Thanks for listening.